Okay, so we are back for another mock draft, fourth straight day of doing a mock draft. We're going to try and do these every single day so we can learn a little bit more about each player in this draft class. My first mock draft, I did a 7-round mock draft, and I took Rashawn Slater. I took Christian Barmore the next day. I took Jalen Waddle yesterday. And in this one, I'm going to take Micah Parsons, and I'm going to pass on Kyle Pitts. And I don't know, maybe Kyle Pitts will find his way on another mock draft just so we can learn a little bit more about him. We're going to try and do that with as many players as possible just so we can learn a little bit more about each player and how each player could potentially fit for the Giants. So I will probably take him in another mock draft. But let me say this, in terms of, I will do a final mock draft in terms of who I really think that they should go all in on and who their top options should be. In general, if I were the Giants and I had the pick and Kyle Pitts was there, obviously it depends on who else is available, but my one worry would be, is he Evan Ingram 2.0? And I'm not saying he has to be as unstable as Evan Ingram, where Evan Ingram is dropping passes, tipping passes up in the air for interceptions left and right, but very similar style. You're talking about a guy who really isn't a traditional tight end in Pitts. He's not known to be a great run blocker. He's known to catch the football, and that's great. Yeah, but what have we seen with Evan Ingram that, okay, you can be a really talented pass catcher and maybe you create tough matchups for the opposing team, but not being a traditional tight end who can block well and you just kind of have a wide receiver on the field, just a little bit better of a blocker than a normal wide receiver on the field, does it really add that much to your offense? I'm just saying, it's something to think about, because we have watched Evan Ingram and we've thought for years, oh my gosh, this guy is going to be a matchup nightmare against linebackers, against safeties. And all right, he may not block that well, but his receiving stats and his ability in the pass game, it's good. It's going to cover up for all that. He'll make up for it. Well, it hasn't. He hasn't been great in the pass game, so I think that's something that Pitts would probably improve on. I think he would be a better receiver than Evan Ingram. But Evan Ingram's a liability at tight end. He really isn't, he's not a traditional tight end. He's not a true tight end. And I feel like he gets exposed. I feel like he gets exposed because he's not a real tight end and he just doesn't fit. So that's my one worry about Kyle Pitts. Not saying he can't be a good player in the NFL and a really good receiving tight end. But that's my one worry, is that he would become Evan Ingram. Not to the unstable part, not to the extent of being unstable like Ingram, but he would be that kind of player where you're so excited about his receiving potential, but he's just not a tight end. So he doesn't really add the value that you think that he would add. So let's talk about this pick, Micah Parsons. This is a guy, I hate to use this word, but people have thrown around the word generational linebacker. I view him as I would say a lesser version of Isaiah Simmons. I would probably rank Isaiah Simmons when he was coming out of the draft last year higher than Parsons, because Isaiah Simmons played everything. And he was good at coverage, he could play safety, he can play off-ball linebacker, he could play edge rusher, he could do whatever, okay? Parsons, once this loads and you kind of see his bio, okay, here we go. Parsons, great size, ability to be a strong edge rusher. If you watch some of his film, I mean, his speed is just outstanding. Sideline to sideline, it's very impressive. He's a good tackler. Like I said, he brings that edge rushing, or as Pro Football Focus says, edge rushing type moves as a pass rusher. He can definitely get after the passer. That's another thing you notice when you watch film of him. And obviously, outstanding athlete. Combination of size and explosiveness. So he would definitely be another weapon for Patrick Graham and for Joe Judge. He would be a Swiss Army knife kind of player. They can move him around a little bit. Like I said, I don't think he has the versatility of Isaiah Simmons, but he kind of reminds me a little bit of Isaiah Simmons in terms of he's not as versatile, but kind of versatile. And he can do a couple of things. He can be a really good, just normal linebacker who runs around and makes tackles and does it at an elite level because of his speed and his overall ability to tackle. He's just an outstanding athlete in general. But then he also offers you the ability to kind of put him on the edge, and if you need him to rush the passer, if you need him to blitz, do this, do that. He has the ability to do that at a very high level. So he kind of offers you, he offers you many above average qualities in different spots. So that is something to keep in mind about Micah Parsons. And if he's there for the Giants at 11, woof, I think that'll probably be the pick unless someone really good falls, like Penny Sewell. Something crazy happens. I think if Micah Parsons is there at 11, you have to take him. Hey, we are in the second round. The New York Giants are on the clock with our first round pick. When I say our, I mean me. With my first round pick, I took Micah Parsons. Now, with my second round pick, I'm going to take Wyatt Davis. I'm going to go on the offensive side of the football. We know the Giants could use a right guard. It's definitely an area where they are, you would think, pretty open to improvement. Shane Lemieux has an opportunity to start at that position. Zach Fulton, they just signed recently. Ability to start at that position as well. Maybe they consider, instead of Rashawn Slater in the first round, a player like that, they go in the second round and they take someone like Wyatt Davis. And it's kind of funny because his NFL comp is Kevin Zeitler, at least according to Pro Football Focus. Kevin Zeitler is his player comp. Giants just released Kevin Zeitler, saved a bunch of cap space. Kevin Zeitler, obviously a very good football player. Now you look at the advanced metrics, he had 3 sacks last year. All right. But you look over the last 3 seasons, just 1 quarterback hit allowed, 4 sacks allowed over those 3 years. And, their scouting report on him is fairly positive. Ideal physical tools to be a guard in the NFL. Only on the ground when he's pancaking someone. Good balance. Overall, still fairly strong in pass protection. That's where the Giants need to improve. They need to improve in pass protection after being, I believe, last in pass block win rate. They were not a good pass blocking team for most of the season. Okay, we are in the third round. The New York Giants are on the clock. And I've stated this, I think, in a couple of other mock drafts, but the Giants, they like to take edge rushers or pass rushers in the third round. It's something that they've done over the Dave Gettleman era, whether it's Lorenzo Carter or O'Shane Ximines. B.J. Hill's a pass rushing defensive lineman, interior defensive lineman kind of player. I think that they go in that route again, and I think that they're continuing to build an edge rushing situation with a ton of guys who they may never be Khalil Mack, or they're not going to spend big money on that position, or maybe they won't spend a first round pick on an edge rusher specifically. But they'll continue to spend like a third round pick or, a player who had performed well. They signed on a 1-year deal, who hasn't been amazing, but he's been good in certain spots. And I think that's something that they may just do again. They may just go like middle of the draft, maybe take a guy in the 3rd, 4th round at edge rusher who has some talent, may not change the game, but still a nice player in certain situations. So I'm going to go with Rashad Weaver, the edge rusher from Pittsburgh. And Pro Football Focus has a decent bio on him. Big guy, 270. Translate well into the run game, power player, and you kind of see that when you watch some of his film. Definitely a big guy, definitely a powerful guy. Ideal height, length, all of those kinds of things would be an interesting option for the Giants. A little bit more built, a little bit bigger than guys like Ximines, Carter. Weaver kind of has more of the size of like a 4-3 defensive end. But either way, I think he would still, I think the Giants would find a way to make it work. And he's one of their highest rated edge rushers available on the board. That's the guy that I would go ahead and pick. And I think the Giants would have a fairly successful draft if this happened to be their first 3 rounds. I think it hits on some important areas of their football team while also maintaining a fairly high level of best player available. They wouldn't exactly, I don't believe, would be reaching. I think that they would be getting good value at each pick while filling areas of potential need.